The Artificial Podcast Shorts.
Yeah, I think in order to really understand cryptocurrency, like we mentioned, we really need to dive into what is blockchain, because the true innovation of cryptocurrency itself is blockchain, and it is blockchain technology, and it is the distributed blockchain ledger that a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin uses. The good news is coming into this, because I was curious about it for several years now, I actually kind of know quite a bit about it, but of course, I do not claim to be an expert, right? I did have to read up and refresh my knowledge on this a bit, but
yeah, which makes sense.
Really, the most innovative part of this is blockchain, and that's what I hold on to. Yeah, the cryptocurrency, it's going to be valuable. Cryptocurrencies will definitely be valuable, will continue to be valuable, and we may ultimately wind up with an internet-based currency in the future, but it's all going to be powered by blockchain. So when you look at blockchain, right, what is it? Well, more than anything, it's a specific type of database. So as you know, Brett, working with databases in your daily life, a database is typically set up in a bunch of rows, right? Or a table, and you have rows and rows and rows of data in this massive server, right?
Yes.
Well, a blockchain, well, I guess you look at a blockchain database, and all of that data, instead of being stored in rows and in these tables and servers, all the data is stored in blocks that are chained together chronologically to the block ahead of it, which is pretty fascinating.
Blocks?
Yes, Brett. A chain of blocks. Hence, blockchain. Good, Brett. Good, Brett. And each block of information, this is where it gets really cool. Each block of information is assigned a unique hash, it is called, along with the hash of the block before it. So every new block that gets added to the blockchain has the unique hash of the block before it, which is really fascinating. And it also includes a timestamp as to when the block was entered into the blockchain. So it's like a permanent entry that cannot be altered, which I think is just the coolest part of all this. And these hash codes that is assigned to each block are created by very, very dense mathematical functions that turn digital information into a series of random numbers and letters. And if that information is changed in any way, the hash changes as well. So keep in mind, because on a distributed blockchain network like Bitcoin, if any one of those blocks is changed, the hash changes, and then all the computers in the system know that it changed, pretty much building a 100% foolproof system. It's really cool.
Jesus,
it's really
cool.
It
sounds like they're creating like DNA helixes.
Sure, I guess.
And if it's altered, you change the whole thing entirely.
Maybe not, but that could be a way of looking at it.
That's how I'm picturing in my head. I'm thinking of that Jurassic Park, like the frog DNA.
Oh.
You just look at me like, what the hell is he talking about?
Just go back to listening here for a bit, Brett.
Sounds good.
So what I just described with these mathematical functions that transform digital information into these hashes for different block entries in the blockchain, that's essentially what Bitcoin mining is. So you hear people mining Bitcoin, they're essentially providing the computer power that mathematically assigns these hashes to the different blockchain ledger entries. And it, of course, takes a lot of computing power to do this because the math is so complex. Why are you still smiling?
Because I'm just laughing at the silence after I said that.
So that's what Bitcoin mining is. Whenever you
anyways, yeah, okay, I get it. So Bitcoin they just make a bunch of blocks in a database that chain together, and they're all identified by hashes.
A completely distributed database, so it's not within one server, right? It exists on all of the different computers or nodes that are within the blockchain. Yeah. And blockchains can be both private and public. But the Bitcoin blockchain, of course, is a public one that is decentralized, and all users collectively retain control, which is very unique, because there are little things in this world where everybody has control over it, right? And decentralized blockchains, like the Bitcoin one, are immutable, which means that the data entered is irreversible, which, again, is an incredibly valuable part of a blockchain.
Can you erase the data?
No.
You can't erase it.
It's distributed. It exists on all of the computers that are a part of the blockchain.
So once it's out there forever.
Yes. Yep. So
it's like the internet.
Sure, I guess, even though you can have private servers and different things like that. But because of the way blockchain is designed, especially in a decentralized nature, the same exact blockchain ledger exists on every single computer. So there is always a check and balance, which is really neat. And essentially, decentralized blockchains are unable to be hacked in theory, because if a hacker were to try and change the hash or change the information of one block, another computer or another node is going to pick up on that, and it has to be verified. And if all the more than 51% of the nodes within the blockchain system don't agree, it doesn't get changed, which makes a majority of the power in the hand. Well, it places the power in the hands of the majority instead of the hands of the few, which is, again, very unique. But these different nodes of computers that anybody can set up essentially process and verify each transaction within the Bitcoin blockchain network. And how does this exactly work? Well, there's this really good chart that I won't show, but that I will walk through, because I think the transaction part is really neat.
You just explained all that, and I have no idea what's going on.
So, for example, Brett, imagine you have a Bitcoin and you buy something with it. Well, the moment you buy something with that Bitcoin, a new transaction is entered. And then the transaction is then transmitted to the network of nodes on this peer-to-peer network. And it's, these nodes are scattered all over the world. Now, this network of computers then solves various different mathematical equations to confirm the validity of the transaction. And once confirmed to be legitimate transactions, they are clustered together into blocks. And then these blocks are then chained together, creating a long history of all transactions that are permanent, and the transaction is complete. This takes place in about 10 to 15 minutes, which is far quicker than performing any transaction with a bank today.
I'm just going to accept that you said that.
What?
I don't know. I didn't comprehend any of it.
What's the holdup?
I don't know. I didn't retain any of the information you said.
That's great. That's great. If you're listening, please don't be listening or watching. Please don't be like Brett. Hey there, artificial podcasters. Nick Myers here just to say don't forget to smash the subscribe button to stay up to date with all of our latest episodes and new content. You can also listen to full episodes of the Artificial Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Anchor.fm. If you or someone you know is interested in being a guest on the show, visit us on the web at www.theartificialpodcast.com. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.